back. I hope you enjoyed the opening session with Traba's keynote. I promise you this session is going to be equally exciting. I have my friend with me here, Yash Rosen, founder and CEO at PathRunner, and his product and tech guru, Tarun. This is one of those sessions that is close to my heart because we met during the early parts of the journey for PathRunner. I met Yash. I could see that he was excited about his mission to deliver big and bulky items in a more streamlined manners and doing that with gig workers. So that's what they are doing at PathRunner. So without further ado, let me hand it off to Yash and Tarun. Yash Rosen and Tarun, take it away. Tell us all about big and bulky deliveries with the gig workers.
Perfect, Gaurav. Thank you very much. And just to confirm, are you going to be sharing your screen or should we?
Oh, yeah, you can share your screen with the presentation. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So let me open it up. Tarun, do you have the presentation on with you right now? If not, give me just a minute.
I have the link. Should I give you the?
Yep.
I just.
Yep, I have it here. Let me see if everybody can see my screen. Perfect. Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, perfect. We can see it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you, Gaurav, and thanks for everyone in the Hypertrack team, as well as everybody joining online. So my name is Yash Rosen. I'm the CEO and founder of PathRunner.
Hey, this is Tarun. I am co-founder and CTO of PathRunner.
And we're going to be talking today about last mile logistics for the big and bulky, and how we work with gig workers. So for starters, let's start with understanding the product space and how products get moved, right? So in the US alone, 56 million tons of product moved every single day. Some of these products are small in size, such as food and beverage, small electronics and small appliances, while others tend to be bulkier in size, whether it's cement bags, home appliances, PVC pipes, boilers. Think about units that can weigh more than 60 pounds. And all of these products get moved with either small vehicles, so motorcycles, cars, and SUVs, to other larger vehicles, such as box trucks, flatbeds, and many times require special equipment to move it. So the problem that we're solving at PathRunner is that companies that move thousands of products every single day rely on multiple small providers that have either little to no tech or no specialization in handling big and bulky products. And this causes two big problems. The first one is that dealing with multiple providers that have no tech creates a lot of lack of communication and transparency regarding the delivery process. And by not having specialization on this big and bulky world, they can't respond to requests beyond small parcel, beyond moving small goods, whether it's same day or in hot season. And this creates a lot of operational inefficiencies. So to diving deeper into what is big and bulky, so big and bulky refers to product that's non-uniform, has big lengths, heavy weights, and requires large vehicles and specialized equipment to load and unload these items. So think about, as you can see in the second and third picture, where you see the PVC pipes or boilers, where it's single units that can weigh more than 70 pounds. Or as you can see in picture 1 and 4, where it's a conglomeration of small packages, but moved in pallets. We're excited about this space because it accounts for 20% of last mile. It's growing annually to 15 to 20%. And it has 3x the cost of small parcel. So a little bit deeper into what we consider internally while we move big and bulky items, there's really three big areas. The first one is product considerations. So order weight, whether it's the single item or total items, whether the products are palletized or not, and whether it's standardized packaging or not standardized packaging. Then requirements to load and unload this product, whether it could be manually loaded or unloaded, or if you need mechanical support like equipment or special handling. And last but not least, the specifications of pickup and drop off, whether we need specific requirements like PPE, are we delivering to dock levels, distances, etc. So at PartRunner, we connect companies to a network of hundreds of independent truckers and small fleets. It's a logistics marketplace. So similar to Uber, we don't own any of these vehicles or hire any drivers as employees. They're all third-partied. And we work with this network and pair them up using technology to companies that need distribution. At the core, what we do is we have a flexible fleet network of drivers that adapt to the needs of our customers. We focus on transparency, ease of use, and great service. And we have vehicles primarily that range from 1.5 ton trucks and above. So 3-ton trucks, 5 tons, 10 tons, etc. And we primarily do last mile and middle mile services through this network. So far, right now, we're doing around 3,600 routes per month. We do over 27,000 stops per month and have around 1,000 active drivers affiliated in our platform. We work in 4 cities in the US and in 6 cities in Mexico. And we work with some of the most prominent brands like Amazon. We work with Ferguson. We work with Cemex, Graybar, Walmart, Mercado Libre, and so forth. Our team is comprised of individuals that have expertise in 3 big areas. The first one is digital logistics. The second one is traditional logistics. And the third one is big and bulky. So companies like XPO Logistics, DHL, Cargamos, Amazon, Convoy, Cabify, Lalamove, and so many others. Up next will be Tarun, who will explain how we bring this network into life through the use of data and technology. Tarun? All yours.
Thanks, Josh, for explaining clearly, what big and bulky is and how PartRunner is solving it. So for me, just approaching this same problem statement from product and technology point of view, right? What we have learned is our customers come back to PartRunner again and again, and we're able to grow with an existing customers on 3 fundamentals that we are able to repeat, right? One is fulfillment. Second is visibility, and third one is the customer support, right? Now, keeping this in mind, so what we found is to make this happen continuously day in, day out with every route that is happening, right? There are 4 key challenges that we need to master, or that are kind of important in this process to work better, right? I think the first critical point was knowing where our drivers are, right? Especially because we work with gig workers and with fleet operators, right? So it's important to know where drivers are. The second one is our ability to know how closer are they to some of the pickup points, right? It could be from their home because they're doing scheduled deliveries. It could be same day because there's an on-demand quick request that is coming in and we want to dispatch a driver. The third one, this would be in long run, it would be our ability to optimize the routes, right? Today, with every customer, we are doing single routes. We tend not to mix it, but tomorrow there will be an ability for us to to optimize and reduce the time of each route, right? And the last one, which kind of doubles down on the visibility aspect, which is showing our customers clearly on where our drivers are and what are the previous actions and steps they have taken. So just moving forward, so taking some of each of these points further, Josh, if you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so if you look into the tracking of drivers, right, this has become extremely challenging, especially if you look in terms of the timeline, right? So around 2018, the initial regulations have started coming in apps' ability to track users' live location, right? I think before 2018, it was pretty seamless, it could something easily be tracked upon with simple open source plugins, right? But from 2018 onwards, and that was around when PartRunner started, right? So the regulation has become very strict. Started with Europe, then it went to US, right? And then finally, I think around in 2020, especially in the iOS, it kind of became extremely difficult to track driver location, right? So you had to kind of continuously, if you can go to next slide, Josh. So you have to kind of continuously update based upon the new Apple updates. Either you have to update the plugins, we have to continuously test in different mobile phones, right? And then parallelly, even in the Android phones, it has become extremely challenging to track. And then when I'm saying tracking, is not just like where the driver sees, it's also about the behavioral aspect, right? How do you track even when someone is not using the phone? Sometimes they put the phone, put our app behind the screen. Sometimes they're using the app, right? So we have seen like time and again, like, there has not been one solution or one open source plugin that was helping us solve, or third party service that was solving this, right? And honestly, like looking back, we spent quite a bit of time in solving same problem that was recurring problem, right? Any thing that would have tried would have worked for 2-3 months, and then there would be an update, right? There would be an update, there will be an older phone, or there'll be a new phone, something that would be like, causing us to again relook into the solving this, right? And in around 2022, to be honest, like luckily, like we kind of got the introduction of Hypertrack, right? If you can go to the next slide. So we started working with them closely on how to improve our traction, and we have seen considerably remarkable results, right? From an accuracy of around like 60% for us, we have improved towards 95 plus, right? When I'm saying accuracy, it's also important to understand, it's not like our ability to just get location once in lifetime, right? It's about continuous, right? It's about the repeatability and the trustable aspect of it, right? So before, we had like majority of the drivers where like, the location would be like once in a while get updated, right? But now it's other way around, right? Unless it's a specific driver behavior, we more or less know where our drivers are. And what it does primarily for us is it improves the internal operations confidence. It improves our ability to build routes and also visibility to customer, right? Knowing where our drivers are, we're able to show, hey, this is where he is, right? And our ETAs and communications, they all have considerably had like positive impact due to this. Then I want to go to the second one, which is about, if you go to the next slide, Josh. Yeah, which is how do you find assign and finding nearby drivers, right? I think once we have a better traction of where our drivers are, right? So traditionally, like the way approach we have taken is like based upon the pickup locations, right? We used to kind of continuously calculate the distances, times, right? So it was a pretty heavy uplift in terms of time and cost for us, right? And even here, some of the features within the Hypertrack has helped us in terms of standardizing the response time and also reducing our API costs, right? Instead of us calculating time and again, like, the distance between our driver location to some of our pickup spots, we are able to kind of use Hypertrack APIs, and they have been able to give us like the response that is helping us in, like, on the right side, if you see, I kind of removed some names, right? But on the right side, this is what we have been able to build, right? For any incoming delivery, now we are able to ping our nearby drivers about a potential trip. And because we know the distance, because we know the location, we know the distance, and we have an ETA for everyone, and even the pay and everything can get more customized to driver locations and everything. Then just moving on, next slide. So what is coming next? I think the last two aspects which I covered was like, the our ability to optimize routes and bringing in visibility to customer, right? And this is where we do see a lot of potential with working further with Hypertrack in terms of integrations, right? Where I think once we get all our ongoing routes onto the platform, we'll be able to better decide where our new pickup stops that are coming in, right? Which route they can go into. And second, which is I think is very critical, is like I always felt like the Uber experience where you can literally track where the driver has been, right? You know where he is heading, right? I think that kind of a visibility to our customers would add a lot of value, and also it improves the trust in terms of where our drivers are and the service we are providing. then my last final thoughts would be like, for me, like where Hypertracks makes a difference is I feel like Partner as a company which is focusing on big and bulky. I feel like we should be focusing on how do we bring in the fulfillment, right? How do you bring in the supply, right? How do you bring in visibility, right? Some of these aspects in visibility is where like Hypertrack helps us in like not resolving it, right? And the last one is a customer support, which is very critical, right? Like, how do we build an excellent support system where any time a customer has a challenge, he does not need to wait for 5 to 10 minutes for someone to come in, right? He gets like within like a minute response, right? So we are able to kind of focus on our core aspects that will be our differentiators, right? And leave some of the ongoing challenges which everyone must be facing, right? In terms of finding drivers, uh, trackability and optimization and all of those things. We're able to use Hypertrack as an enabler for us. Yeah, and Josh, you want to close it out? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll open it up for questions. Thank you very much. This is right. We're building and disrupting how we do last mile logistics for big and bulky products. And I know, eager to answer any and all questions you guys may have.
Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Tarun. Amazing presentation. I have a couple of questions here from the audience. The first question is for you, Yash. Given that we have so many founders sharing thoughts with us, and you're a founder, how did you decide to set up PathRunner as a company? What's the origin story for the PathRunner?
So I guess I'll give the concise version of it. So for starters, we started in Boston. My background is in industrial engineering. I actually started in civil engineering. Part of my family is in construction. Tarun has a background in construction management and data science. But I mention these things because when PartRunner started, we actually started in the construction space. And we wanted to make how we move big and bulky products that you find typically in construction jobs more efficient, right? How do we help the logistics of that supply chain where there's so many inefficiencies, right? Moving out and about from job sites and construction sites. And a few years ago, we were all in Boston. We met there, started this marketplace where truckers helped construction distributors move big and bulky product. Fast forward a few years into our journey, we kind of branched out into other industries. But the initial concept of why PartRunner initially started tackling big and bulky was because we wanted to make construction sites more efficiently when it comes to parts and products that get to construction sites. That was kind of the origin story. And it was, the first 100 deliveries between Dan, who's our third co-founder, myself, and Tarun. We were doing, we rented pickup trucks and we were doing deliveries ourselves, right? And that kind of quickly went into, third party. But that was the initial origin story.
Awesome. Thank you, Yash. Second question here for Tarun. Tarun, you mentioned that you had tried, did you try your own approach at location tracking before Hypertrack? And then did you evaluate that? And did you try to do it yourself? I guess the question is about DIY. Did you try to do it yourself before you looked at Hypertrack as a solution?
I mean, I don't know, I don't know how Hypertrack has able to solve this problem for us, right? I do not know that your technical solution that is behind this, but I can definitely vouch that my team has spent a lot of time in researching, finding open source plugins that are out there. And also in this journey, we initially started as an Ionic, like a platform, right? Where it is like common deployment for iOS and Android. And then we moved to native apps. So throughout our journey, we always found a lot of friction in terms of which plugin would work. Something would work for Android, it wouldn't work for iOS, right? Even if it works, then it's like, it asks for permission that doesn't exist in that mobile model, right? So yeah, and then if there is an update version, it just doesn't become compatible and everything breaks down. So we did try solutions that are suggested out there, did we spend into R&D into building something from ground zero? That was never the idea, right? Because that is not partner is. Partner is trying to build a marketplace, right? It's not trying to build a proprietary software on how to improve trackability of users. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. That's a that's a great takeaway for the listeners here. Focus on your core strength, on the core business of building out a marketplace, and put the right solutions in place instead of reinventing the wheel. That's perfect. One more question for you here, Yash. As you are working, with large retailers like Walmart and Mercado Libre and others, and industrial suppliers over in the United States side, what is the typical process for onboarding with PartRunner, and how long does it take? I guess the question is about, how easy is it to use PartRunner as a platform for the employer?
Yeah, so I guess it's a short version, and we primarily work with mid-market and enterprise companies. We are a seed stage startup, pre-Series A. And when we onboard these new customers, right, we onboard probably 2 to 3 per month. Average sales life cycle is, I want to say 2 to 4 months. And it normally starts with, we sign up a contract with all of these companies. It is not a recurring SaaS like platform. It's more of this is a terms and agreements of working together, negotiated rates. And once we kick that off, it normally starts relatively small, and we have a land and expand strategy. So getting into the door, signing a contract takes 2 to 4 months, depending on the size of the customer. And we sign the contract, and then at that point, we usually start with one project, and then from there we start growing. We start growing into additional projects, additional cities, things of that line. It's very, very difficult for a company like a Walmart or a Mercado Libre to give you right off the bat, first month, 50 routes, right? That usually doesn't happen. We've always been like, okay, well, let's start with 3 routes, and then really based on performance, service, and what Tarun was speaking about in terms of just response times and communication, that's what grows the account. So yeah, that's hopefully that answers the question.
No, that's perfect. Thank you, Yash. Thank you, Tarun, for joining us again. I'm going to share the information with all the audience and the deck that we present, that Tarun and Yash presented. So you have their contact information in there. Do reach out to them. We have industrial suppliers in the audience. We do want them to reach out and work with PartRunner. Thanks a lot for joining us, Yash and Tarun. After this, stay with us for the session from Hypertrack team on apps and dashboards. What apps are available for creating your own worker app or a delivery app, and what dashboards are available for your operations team. Tarun talked a lot about how their operations team has improved their tracking from 60% to 95%, reduced their Google cost by 55%. If you want to know about what's behind the covers or all of that stuff, please join us for the next session. Ashish from the engineering team at Hypertrack would be sharing that. Thanks a lot, and stay with us for the next session with Ashish Subramanian from Hypertrack team. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Yash.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks,
Bye.
everyone. Bye.